Jake?
I call this meeting to order. It is 6:18 now. Excuse me for being late, but when you have grandchildren, you know how that goes. Okay, number two. We'll have the presentation of communities and schools, CIS program updates. And we have this coming.
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, members of the board. We have a handout that was just given to you right now. Okay, this is the performance measures from last year. And in September, when we presented, we did not have the reports because we don't get the reports until the end of October. And so I just wanted to bring this to your attention that the report that was just given to you, if you look at it where it says TEA, that is what the state requires for us to meet. And basically, we focus on four areas, which is academic, attendance, behavior, and basic needs. And toward the right, at the very end, where it says CIS program, that is what was our percentages. And as you can see, under academics, it's 95. Under attendance, it's 72. Under behavior, it's 86. And then under basic needs, it's 86. Right underneath there, it's promoted, and we have 94%. Under graduation, we have 94, and under stay in school, we have 97. So as you can see, we exceeded all of the requirements that the TA state asked for. So in your binder, under the first tab, which is under at a glance performance, this is what San Benito did last year. And so if you compare the last item on the right side where it says under academics, it should read 96%. That's on your first tab under at a glance district. If you can compare San Benito under academics had 96%. Right underneath that, it says attendance, and we have 77%. Under behavior, it's 83%. Under basic needs, 97. Promoted, 95%. Graduation, 92%. And then stay in school is 98%. So if you compare those figures to what the state requires, San Benito's staff exceeded all the goals that TA required. So our students did very well with our site coordinators. Then under the second tab in your binder, you have caseload, and these are the figures that we have from September to December. The very first line where it says CIS caseload, you've got the individual campuses, and this is what they have year to date. So our caseload is 105 for the year. And as you can see, Angela Leal, the site coordinator from Angela Leal, has already exceeded the 105. He is at 107. So he has already 102% of his caseload. You have Berta Cavazza with 102 students, and she is at 97% of her caseload. We have Frank Roberts. She is at 76% of her caseload. La Paloma, I have 102% of the caseload. Miller Jordan is at 89%. PRC is at 2%. Riverside is at 104%. And San Benito High School is at 76. San Benito VMA is at 79. And then we have Gateway at 95%. Just so you can know, the site coordinator that services Gateway also services PRC. So actually our site coordinator from PRC in Gateway is actually at 97% of her caseload. As you can see, on your right-hand side, on your left-hand side, we have all the services that we've provided to our students from September to December. And among them, you can see the home visits, the parent meetings, the school-wide events, the number of uniforms given out, the number of school supplies, out vouchers, assistance with rental and utility. We give out healthy snacks, incentives, agency referrals, and we also do phone calls to our parents. We do help out students that are not CIS as well. As you can see on the second line, those are the number of students that are not in our program, but we provide services for them. Okay? Any questions?
I have, back to the at a glance.
Yes.
Just one thing in comparison, so historically, the last 2 years, we have had two campuses in IR, which was Frank Roberts and Miller Jordan. And it seems, although the numbers are great, they're not abysmal in any way, but I think Frank Roberts was in, you said 70-ish%, and
Yes.
Miller Jordan in the 80-ish%.
Yes.
Wouldn't we want to be at 100% if, even though academically they're not doing well, but also in terms of impoverished needs, they come from communities that are traditionally underprivileged and under-resourced. So I guess, can you just paint us a picture of why they're lagging behind, or is it a lag? Like, what's going on that Frank Roberts and Miller Jordan are typically lower than other schools that are performing well academically?
Yes. At Frank Roberts, that is one campus that we have a site coordinator there. And based on these figures that she has, that particular campus did not target as many students under the attendance, and so therefore we don't have a bigger number to represent the problem there at Frank Roberts. So what we did to correct this problem for this year is that we've asked our site coordinators to make sure their caseload is 105. So that caseload, they have to target at least 33% of that caseload that have academic problems, 33% that has attendance problems, and then 33% of behavior. And so they have to work with the administrators to make sure that we are targeting the students that are at risk among those three categories. And so that way we could have a balance among the components. We don't want to target just 105 students on attendance because we have other students that have problems with academic. So to have a better balance, we have this, the state has required for us to do at least a third of academics, a third of attendance, and a third of behavior.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and then the next tab is principal monthly reports, and these are reports that each month the site coordinator turns in a report to the principal just to let them know a summary of what they've been doing throughout the month. And so this is a report that is handed to them at the end of the month with their end of the month reports. And so usually the site coordinator would sit down with the principal and go over this to tell them exactly what they did and how many students there are providing services on a monthly basis. And as you can see, it tells you a little more of what they're doing, going back to how many students were provided school supplies, how many referrals, how many in-kind donations, if they had any type of school-wide events. And if you look at Angela Leal, for the month of September, they did parental and family engagement parent meetings. So this is where our site coordinators get to list what they're doing in that individual campus. And if you look through the different monthly principal reports, you see that different campuses have different activities going on every different month. Any questions on that tab? If you look at the next tab, it's your dropout prevention chart. And this is how we calculate how many of our students are staying in our campus, and if there's any withdrawals or transfers, this is how we keep track of who's going where, and if there's anybody else that's receiving them and continuing the services. And so if you look at the very first page, that's your district. That's all of your San Benito campuses that we have a site coordinator. These are the numbers. So as of now, as of December 31st, we had 839 students that we were providing services. And out of those 839, we had 12 students that withdrew from your district, and they went to the different districts. And if you look at the bottom of the page, it says 3 of them went to San Antonio area, 2 to FAR, 1 to Corpus Christi, 1 to the Houston, 1 went to Florida, 1 went to JJAP, 1 went to Bayview, and 2 went to Harlingen District.
Where do we find this information again, please?
It's on the first tab. It's under the tab that says Dropout Prevention Chart. It's this one.
Dropout prevention.
And the first page, it just tells you San Benito District as a whole. But right behind them, if you really want to know what campus, like those students that, it says 3 from San Antonio. If you look at the next page, which is Angela Leal, you can see that on the third line, it says enrolled outside of San Benito. You see 2 of them went to San Antonio and 1 went to FAR. And if you look to the next page, you're going to see that Berta Cavazos also had 1 that went to FAR and the other one to San Antonio. And so if there's any withdrawals, we do track them. And like in San Antonio, there is also a communities in school. So if the child went to any school that has communities in school, that child will continue receiving services for communities in school for the remainder of the year.
San Antonio, this is right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great report. Thank you. Item number 3, presentation of implementation of Zello for the 2018-2019 school year. And I think Mr. Guerra is not here today, but you'll do, okay, thank you.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Guerra, unfortunately, sends his regards. He is actually at an event right now with
Right.
special ed students and regarding the welding program that started today. So he sent me, since I was part of the implementation team. But of course, I'll make sure that I elaborate on everything that we've done. My name is Alex Salinas. I serve at the privilege as your higher ed coordinator at the high school. And of course, I'm part of the team. So as you can see from the handouts, you all should have received 3 handouts that says Zello launch plan for San Benito CISD, correct? If you turn to the page where it says launch plan, key personnel,
I don't think we have. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
apologize, I was totally, yeah. But I'll be brief and I'll make sure that I elaborate everything we've done. So just want to make sure that you guys are updated on what we're doing. So the first thing, please know that we actually met yesterday. Of course, Mr. Guerra, as our director of CTE, is leading the team. Dr. Peña, our director of secondary, was there. Ms. Laura Jalomo Garza, our San Benito High School head counselor, myself as the higher ed coordinator, Ms. Morado, our coordinator of PEAMS, and Mr. Bowman from the IT were there along with the team of from Zello. Obviously, they were teleconferencing and we're using the technology to help us plan. One of the main things for you to know is that that was the first of many meetings. So we met to discuss what's going to happen next. As you can imagine, this is going to be a big launch that we want to make sure that we have everything correct and make sure that we don't leave anything unturned. The first thing is, the second thing we're going to talk about is configure the data integration. This is where we're going to import all the information that they have from us to Zello system. And again, we're going to be working hand in hand with the representatives from Zello so they could, in return, submit that and turn into the system of Zello. So when the students are able to log in, all the information such as their name, their biographical information, their grades will be there on the system. So that's going to be part of the first phases that we're going to have to do with Zello, and Mr. Bowman with our IT rep will be helping as well. The third item is configure the single sign-on. Since we are a Google district, We are going to use our Google accounts. We're going to give this information to Zello, so when the students are able to have access to this system, they don't have to have two separate accounts. They could sign on using their Google account. As you all may know, again, students have a Google email account, so we're going to use that as a sign-on. And our goal as a district is to make sure that students and families, when this is ready to be launched, they're able to have an icon on the website, and they could click on that icon that says Zello, and then they could log in with the credentials of what they use currently with their Google sign-in right now. So that's another implementation that we're working on. The next item we're working on is a knowledge of course and diplomas. We were fortunate enough already to send Zello our course listing, our course catalogs. This is where all of our offerings that we currently offer was sent to them. It's going to take them about 2 to 3 weeks to make sure that they configure all that in the Zello system. So when the students are able to see this, they will know which courses they are able to register for. And the last thing that we are going to be working with is a review of lesson sequence. This is where students will know if they take this class, this is the lessons that we are hoping that they are going to learn by taking this course and so forth. So again, this is just a very simple plan that we're working in the next couple of months to ensure that our trainers are equipped and knowledgeable to make sure they're knowing what they're doing. One thing to know, if you turn the page or on the next slide, the what's happening slide. We are working with the trainers. Mr. Guerra is going to meet with the Zello representatives to identify who are the key personnels. In this case, he has identified the CTE representative from each middle school with 2 BIM instructors to help lead the middle schools. At the VMA, the 9th grade, he has identified 2 BIM instructors as well as 2 elective instructors. And at the high school, when they get there, it will be myself, it will be 3 BIM instructors, and it will be, of course, him as a director of CTE leading when they reach to that grade. So everything is going to be outlined and make sure that every single representative from that respective grade knows what they're doing. So when the students have questions, or more importantly, the parents may have questions, or they get stuck somewhere along the way, these trainers will be able to assist the students.
Mr. Salinas, really
yes, sir.
quick, are there, going back to the general launch timeline, are you anticipating any disruptions between the transfer of information that has already been done with Naviance versus the Zello program?
Based on what they told us, they're familiar with using Skyward themselves, so we assure that this is what we're currently using. So they said as long as we give them the information on their end, they're going to be able to input what they have from us to be able to import it. Now, as far as any interruptions, I won't be able to tell you unless Mr. Bowman, once he gets to that, he may be able to elaborate. But as of now, they told us that they shouldn't experience any
So agnostic from system disruptions, but let's say we have a freshman who has been using Naviance since 6th grade or whatever, and now we're going to switch to Zello. Like, how's that going to look for that student that has already been matriculating through middle school and now?
Correct. So that's the reason why we're going to give all that information now from all of our students currently to Zello. So if they use Naviance, maybe from another district, as soon as they come into our district, we're going to give that information to Zello. But from the get-go, we're going to give all the information that we have of our students so they could have in their system. So when the students sign on to Zello, they'll be in the system, regardless of what system they might have used in the past.
Awesome. Thank you.
And again, I could assure you again, Mr. Guerra has this planned already where he's meeting with the Zello representatives through email. They have a meeting in 2 weeks to discuss the trainers and the to-go people. And throughout the next couple of weeks and months, we're going to do our best to make sure that we have this in place and make sure that the students are the ones that are going to benefit without any interruptions.
Sir, Mr. Lines, I got a question for you. As far as software and the way the whole transition happens, it's very obvious that there might be some hiccups along the way. As far as training is concerned for our staff and abstracting the information and forwarding over to Zello, how do you guys foresee, for this process to be seamless? Because, as you're well aware, we've had some other software integrations and it doesn't go as planned.
Correct.
So the thing is, my concern is, of course, disruption in the classroom, and taking away, our instructors, our leaders away from the classroom because they're focusing on this integration. So
Yes, sir.
the thing is, have we learned anything from the past issues that have transpired, and what are we going to do different to make sure that this goes seamless?
Correct, sir. So again, like I explained, and I'll make sure that I'll be more detailed. So we're going to identify the instructors and the BIM and the people that are going to be training and make sure that they know everything. So they're the experts, so we don't have to count on the Zello representative. So I could assure you, Mr. Lopez, that I know that Mr. Guerra is working with them to make sure that if indeed there are any hiccups, it's going to be our trainers who will be the first ones to go. But that's the reason we're going to be meeting with them, teleconference, and they are going to come physically to our campus with all these representatives. So we're going to have hands-on training. We're going to make sure that we ask all the questions. We're going to make sure that we actually maybe we are going to do a template where they are going to go through it with us. And at that time, if we have questions, ask the San Benito CISD representatives. We'll ask them there. And they already have some commonly asked, errors or some of the concerns that they've had with other districts, so they're going to share that with us. So in case that happens, we are going to be equipped. So the important thing, Mr. Lopez, is that our experts, our representatives, our teachers will be the ones that should be fully trained to be sure that when that comes up, Mr. Lopez will be able to address it then and there without any or minor interruptions. And we learning from the past, we don't want to make sure we disrupt that much time from learning. So we're going to try to do our best to make sure that doesn't happen, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Mr. Salinas?
Yes, sir.
Regarding the implementation target date, when is that? I know you have on this to be determined, but when do you anticipate 100% participation?
100%, I won't be able to tell you that. I know that right now the key thing, Mr. Mendez, is to make sure that we get the career inventory software piece in place. Because we did move up the registration period up to February. We're letting Zello know that we need the career inventory portion of Zello to be up and ready sometime in February, so we could then work with our 8th graders that have not done a career inventory. As you know, they have to do this so they could help them choose a pathway so when they get to 9th grade. But the fully 100%, Mr. Mendez, I'm going to have to refer that to Mr. Guerra as we move forward. He'll probably have a better dateline. But right now, our main key is the career inventory piece.
So with that in mind, what are we using for our seniors as we speak? I'm assuming that this product is to provide the Pathway A, scholarship opportunities, application opportunities as well. So what are we still continuing to use Naviance until this is done, or is there a plan B for them?
We're not using Naviance, sir. Right now, we are counting on the great College and Career Center and my staff there that are helping our students to make sure they use, and we're currently using Apply Texas, which is a big software that students are able to do their applications. We're working with the FAFSA to make sure that everyone does it. So these are universal, these are statewide softwares and systems that students are able to use. And along with myself and the other senior seminar course instructors, they're doing our best to make sure that everyone that needs help will get that assistance. But to answer your question, Mr. Mendez, we don't have Naviance, we haven't used Naviance, and hopefully once this gets in place, this will supplement those students that perhaps can't come into the College and Career Center or perhaps can't take the senior seminar. We'll be able to use Zello to start the application and start looking at different options as they move on to the grade and, of course, when they graduate.
Right. And that's my concern, because I think we have about 600 plus graduating this year, Dr. Carmen? Close to 700, and we want to make sure that we have the resources available for them.
Yes, sir.
So with that in mind, if you don't mind, take into consideration the implementation and trying to get 100% implementation by August, so no one is affected next year. None of our juniors are affected next year. I know that this year's it's a trial year, but I think we need to kind of make sure that we have something in plan, even over the summer, to assure that there's the implementation model is in place for them for next year.
I can't guarantee, but obviously when you say August, I think we're going to be more than safe to have this ready by August, Mr. Mendez. I thought you meant like today or tomorrow or next week. So I mean, it was hard for me to answer that, but I'll be surprised if this is not implemented for the start of the new class coming in, because again, as you know, 670 or 700 students are a lot for the Career Center or for students to get the assist or not get the assistance like they deserve. But this system should allow for supplement so they could have somewhere to go and be able to get assistance. But
Well,
I'll make sure I put that, Mr. Mendez.
Great. Well, I'd like to commend the team, because this is what one of the things that the board likes to see, a plan in action, and with goals and target goals to make sure that our kids are actually being serviced properly.
Thank you,
very
sir. And
much
again,
for
it's a
your
team effort. I
leadership.
mean, IT representatives are there, the PEMS, the counseling, higher ed, the IT, and of course, Mr. Guerra, and of course, Mr. Peña, secondary, and of course, Mr. Madrigal. Everyone's involved in this to make sure that we don't do anything that will hinder the implementation and make sure that everything is set up for our students. Because again, this is all for our students.
Mr. Salinas, on review the lesson sequence, it says review lessons available. What type of lessons and what is one of the examples of the lessons?
So once the courses are set up, so for example, if they're taking the senior seminar course, if they choose that, there's going to be a little description that says, this course should allow you to research different universities and colleges, so then you're able to apply and be able to meet the deadlines. If they take this class, let's say the computer class, this class should allow you to give you the resource and the tools for you to master Microsoft Word, Excel, and so forth. So every course map will have a lesson that will be designated for that course, so the students can at least know, if taken and passed, they should get that lesson from that course.
Oh.
And now that will be working with Dr. Peña and Ms. Laura Jalomo, our counselor, to make sure that these lessons are strategically put there, because we want to make sure students, when they see this class, they're able to know that this is what you should be getting out of this. And I think that's the unique part about Zello. It allows for that, so students can see that, okay, I need to take this class for my graduation requirements or as an elective, but it also tells me that if I take this class and I do well in it, I should be learning this lesson from this course.
Okay, great, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Very excited again. I'm just fortunate to be part of this team. And again, Zello, I'm new to Zello myself, but when we met with the representatives yesterday, it seems very promising. So I hope that, we do our diligence correctly and make sure that we have this in place for our students. And again, Mr. Mendez, I'm more than sure we'll have it in place by the start of next year. But our goal right now, Mr. Guerra is working with Zello representatives to ensure that we have the career inventory portion, so students can take that inventory. So in case they're still not familiar with what pathway they want to take, this career inventory will measure their skills, their abilities, and what their interests are to determine what pathway they can take or they could choose from. Any
Thank
other
you, Mr.
questions?
Salinas.
All right, thank you so much.
And thank you, Mr. Guerra, too.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Excellent. Number 4, agenda number 4, review discussions of Miller Jordan Middle School campus improvement plan for the 2018-2019 school year.
Good evening,
Good evening.
board members. One of the requirements by TA for second year improvement required campuses is to develop a turnaround plan, and that's why we've been working on the turnaround plan with our PSP, professional service provider, with the service center, with the campus leadership, and with the teachers at Miller Jordan. Even though, I mean, we know that we're doing great, and we know that we're going to meet the accountability at the end of the year, we have to go through the steps, we have to go through all the motions to develop this turnaround plan. The state is thinking, you know what, you didn't make it 2 years in a row. They're thinking you probably won't make it 3 years in a row. Like I'm telling you, I mean, they don't care how you're doing, they don't look at your progress or anything. We just have to go through the motions, go through the process. So, and one of the steps is to bring this to the board to get it approved. Then we have to advertise also on the campus website. It's already advertised. It has to be advertised right there so that the community can see it and we can get feedback. So, but like I'm telling you, I'm confident that we're not going to use this turnaround plan next year. But we still got to go through the steps and the motions. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Peña, it's a 15-page document, so can you or Ms. Fernandez just give us a bird's eye view? I know we're excited to have you there at Miller Jordan now, Ms. Fernandez. If you can give us a bird's eye view of what I'm understanding as basically the strengths that you've listed, so maybe just peek at one, and then areas of growth that you're using to turn the campus around.
Absolutely, sir, yes. Well, part of the process in developing the turnaround plan is to begin by addressing our areas of weakness, identifying them, and then moving forward with root causes, identifying those root causes that have contributed to those weaknesses, and then continuing by setting forth some foundational essential actions that are going to be taking place to help improve those areas of weakness. So one of the strong areas, one of the things that occurred was that Region 1 did come in, they did a diagnostic of the campus, and one of the areas of strength that they did see was that we now have a very strong curriculum and instruction portion in place there on the campus. Some areas of deficiency that they felt that in years past, as far as the root causes that were taking place that needed to be developed were beginning with, of course, the development of the campus instructional leadership, the assistant principals, and identifying clear roles and responsibilities. The root cause of that was that within the last 10 years, they've had a very large number of turnaround on the campus as far as administrative leadership. I think they've had approximately 6 principals in the last 10 years. It could be 7, I'm not sure, but I think it is 6. And so because of that, there has been a breakdown as far as structures and processes and procedures in place on the campus that has contributed to some of those deficiencies that we're having. So that's one area that, of course, that we've been working on. Another area, of course, that you can probably see there in the plan is the recruitment, selection, assignment, induction, and retention of highly qualified teachers. This year alone, I do believe that we had about 10 teachers that we had to hire this year, so retention was something that we've been working on as well. And then one of the strong areas, but something that is also identified in this plan, because like Dr. Peña said, this plan is in place in case we don't meet IR, in case we don't meet the expectation this year and we're at 3rd year IR, would need to then go back and revisit the alignment, the vision, the goals. All of that has been revamped this year, and it was an area of concern, and that has been addressed as well. And
Ms.
then,
Bernard, to
yes.
that point on the curriculum alignment, Region 1
Yes.
came in and identified it as a strength. I remember visiting, I think, the 1st or 2nd week, and one of your biggest frustrations that you found was that there was not a curriculum alignment between even the TEKs, the lesson plans, and what students were being tested on. So can you shed some light on how you improve that
Yes,
with
sir.
your teachers?
Absolutely, and it's of course in conjunction with Dr. Peña and our instructional coaches. All of that's been a lot of support from the district as well. But yes, one of the things that we needed to address was just the basic structure of the pacing guides, the utilization of the TEKs and making sure that we understand which TEKs are being tested, the study of the STAR test and making sure we know which TEKs to focus on specifically during the instructional portion to know that we're covering what needs to be covered to be successful on the exam. So what ended up happening was we brought in the teachers, I think a week before school even started, and they began working on their timelines, of course with the TEKS resource system, the year at a glance, and making sure that we have those pacing guides in place to know what our timeline's gonna look like and so that we're reaching our goals throughout. One thing that we did work with Dr. Peña as well was developing the assessments and those benchmarks that we set up for 6 weeks. That gave us a very good indicator of where we needed to be, and we developed our pacing guides along the way to make sure that we reached those goals along the way. And we've had some tremendous success, on our CFAs. We've made quite a bit of improvement. The teachers are working hard, the kids are working hard, and we've seen a lot of growth. So that's kind of what we've done so far to help improve that portion as far as the development of the curriculum and the alignment and the pacing guides and the year at a glance and so on. There.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's pretty, there's a couple other areas here that we did want to focus on the foundational essential actions. There's just, like, one of the main one was the curriculum and the interim assessments that I talked about that we've already developed. But in case we don't meet our goals this year, that is something we'd have to go back and revisit. And then, of course, our objective-driven daily lesson plans for formative assessments. So that's kind of just a little overview as far as what our plan is.
Mr. Vargas, in answering some of Ms. Fernandez's questions, and we've all worked together, been very specific on or focused with the kids that we have chosen to tutor. I know that we met with Ms. Fernandez before in December and again in January, and I believe before it was more of a scattergun approach, where now we know which kids and what we're targeting. Moreover, I know that the secondary campuses, and I'll let Ms. Fernandez talk about this, or Dr. Peña, about our plan on our review before we test. We're not going to go in there and teach to the last day and take the test on Monday. I don't know if that may or been done in the past or not. This year, like Ms. Fernandez said, and I'll let her explain so that you hear from the principal, but 3 middle school principals are, if it's good enough for one campus, it's good enough for all the campuses, but I'll let her explain that.
So part of the development of our pacing guides was ensuring that we had enough time when it came closer to the exam to go back and review specific areas of need, specific reporting categories. So we've allotted enough time where we end up covering all of our TEKs probably about 4 to 5 weeks prior to the assessment. So we have covered all TEKs before then, so that gives us a nice little cushion there where we can go ahead and review all the material again with the students, target areas of need, and just, we call it a blitz, basically, and so that we can go ahead and go over specific test-taking strategies, just anything that we can do to help improve the students as far as their scores. But we've condensed our timelines so that we can have that little cushion at the end, so that we can have that extra push and target the students specifically in the areas of need.
You are doing after-school tutorials, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mandatory?
Actually, yes,
Mandatory.
we pulled up mandatory for 2 days a week. The rest of the days, it's optional, but for sure, at least 2 days a week for each of the core area teachers. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And one more question. I know we've heard a lot of the very quantitative. I'd like to hear a little bit of the qualitative. So like historically, this campus has served a very challenging neighborhood that's close by. And so I know previous principals have tried to deal with that situation in a very positive manner. So from like a social justice, kind of socio-emotional perspective, what are y'all doing with students that are kind of improving along with what you're doing with your alignment of the curriculum and TEKs, et cetera?
So you're talking in reference to, aside from the tutorials and from...
How are you developing, I guess, the full child, with not just teaching them how to do math and reading?
Well, we've developed, one of the things that we're really pushing on the campus is the development of a lot of our clubs and organizations and getting the kids involved like that. We just recently started up our Robotics Club. We have lots of different things after school to help the kids get motivated and involved. We have our PALS program, we have our student council. We have all these different organizations that we're really trying to push and promote to the students, so that, especially the athletics programs as well. And you know, we're very lucky to have a very good program there on campus. I shouldn't say luck, because what it is they're working very hard, the teachers, to help promote these programs and get the students involved. So one of the things that we do is we try and get the students who are struggling to get them involved in an extracurricular activity, so they can have some type of motivation to try and improve, not just do well in those sports, but also to do well in their academics.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We've also, this was important to me because we've done this, they had the advisory class, and we started that last year, I know him. But the hope is for that child, say, whatever the child's name may be, 6th grader, he starts off with Dr. Peña in that advisory class. When he's a 7th grader, he has Dr. Peña. When he's an 8th grader, he has Dr. Peña. So he gets to know an adult in that building other than a teacher for 45 minutes a day. And hopefully that relationship is built to where that child would have an advocate or somebody they feel comfortable, because that relationship's been built on that campus. And that one can't be measured in numbers. That's just something that's right.
Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Agenda item number 4, review, discussion of International Center for Leadership Education, the plan of action overview for the 2018-2019 school year. And
Hi, good evening, Dr. Carmen, Mr. Board President, members of the board. I serve as a Director of Professional Development with San Benito, and I'm also very fortunate to kind of also be able to work directly with the people from ICLE and help with this partnership. In your packet, you all should have received a packet prepared for you. First, we have the digital learning plan, and this provides an overview of the scope of work that is being provided by ICLE. I'm sorry, and also in our audience, we do have Mark White, who is our ICLE professional learning consultant that is assigned to work with San Benito. So part of the plan includes the keynote speaker for the back-to-school convocation, along with strategic planning with Weston Kieschnick, who was our keynote speaker. It also includes professional development for our administrators and our teachers, which includes 2 days of professional development for 2 groups of administrators and 2 days of professional development for 6 groups of teachers. And it also includes coaching, which I'll kind of talk a little bit more about in just a minute. And it also includes 275 copies of the Bowl Schools book that was written by Weston Kieschnick also. And we will be having a complimentary book study with Weston beginning on February the 5th. Now, the training for the administrators have actually had 5 days. We started off June 6th. We finished out the year and kind of started talking about what we wanted to do for this coming year. So Mr. White did present to our principals at that time and our curriculum directors and kind of introduced us to what rigor and relevance is and what are the things we're going to be looking for this school year. Then we started off the year during the administrators retreat. Again, Mark White worked with our administrators, all campus administrators, and also our CNI department, which includes our instructional coaches and curriculum directors, and also to set the stage for the year. Then we've had 2 additional days right before the Christmas break, which was to recap and kind of review our progress and celebrate successes, and also set next steps for this semester. Okay, the teacher trainings, again, includes 2 days for 210 teachers, and that's why there's 6 groups of teachers. We kicked that off with introducing them to the rigor and relevance rubrics and the instructional things we would be looking for when walkthroughs are being conducted in their classrooms. And the important thing that was also shared with them was why we needed this change. Why were we incorporating ICLE? Why do we have to understand what rigor and relevance is in the classroom? And why we also want to enhance instruction when we use technology. The other component that was shared with the teachers and administrators well is the quadrants. There's 4 quadrants when we look at rigor and relevance, and our district goal is that 25% of our teachers are delivering lessons that are at the quadrant D level. Now, when we move on to our coaching days, we do have 84 days that Mr. White is working with our teachers and our administrators. And this includes 4 rounds. Principals had the opportunity to select the days that they wanted Mr. White to visit their campus. And the coaching days will include walkthroughs in the classroom along with teacher debriefs. Mr. White has also participated and assisted in some of the PLCs that are taking place in order to plan effective lessons, and also debriefs with the administrators just to set next steps for their campuses. And then Mr. Kieschnick will be visiting our campus our district, February 5th and 6th, and he'll be back to visit us March 21st and 27th. And when we look at who is involved in this first year of implementation, we have 210 teachers, which consist of 128 elementary teachers and 87 secondary teachers that are part of the first cohort. And we had 69 administrators that were part of the administrators retreat that were introduced to ICLE. And one of the things that we always want to look at too is, survey responses and what is the feedback that we're hearing from the members in the audiences. And I'm very happy to say, and Mr. White can also chime in also, but our administrators training, 95% of our administrators either strongly agree or agree when asked, part of the feedback, if the workshop content is important to improve student outcomes. And of that 95%, 86% strongly agree. When we look at the teacher ratings, 94% strongly agree, and 94% strongly agree or agree, and of that 94, 79 strongly agree that the content that they're learning is important and will help instruction. And then when we look at data, the district goal is that 25% of our lessons will be reaching the quadrant D. When we started this initiative in May of last year with our DPAs, we were only at 4% for quadrant D. After the first round of coaching, we're at 28%. So there's been an increase in our quadrant D lessons. So do you have any questions for myself or for Mr. White?
can we go to some of these trainings ourselves?
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Okay. I would like to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and also when we do coaching, you're welcome to visit the campuses as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to share, Mr. White?
Yeah, just briefly, good evening, I'm Mark White, very happy to be here. It's been such a delight working with your administration and your teachers and students. You should be very proud. They're working very hard. They're working hard to get their kids through the STAR test. They're working hard to provide a good, solid education for the kids. And they're really making a lot of growth in their rigor and the relevance technology usage. And so Dr. Carmen has set some high goals for the teachers, and they're meeting those goals. And I'm confident by the end of the year, they're going to make even more progress, and we'll keep this going. And I think that the district has a very bright future ahead of it in terms of its rigor and relevance and technology usage. Any questions for me while I'm here? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Agenda item number 6, review discussion to purchase Stop It Solutions application for the 2018-2019 school year. Mr. Santana?
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, fellow board members. Today, we're going to make a presentation to review and to discuss the purchase of the Stop It Solutions applications for the 2018-2019 school year. The rationale behind this application, it is an anonymous reporting of bullying, cyberbullying, inappropriate student and teacher relationships, sexual assault, hazing, violence and threats, weapons possession, drug dealing, substance abuse, and intolerance and discrimination. This application will provide campus administrators with instant documents, reports, and alerts. It would also provide a 24-hour call center where our students and parents can call in to report their concerns. Upon receiving the call, the center will call the 2 listed administrators of that campus and send an email to report the concern. If it is deemed an emergency, they will contact our local law enforcement agencies. And if it is approved, we will be in compliance with board policies, FDB local, the Education Code 25.034, victim of bullying, and FFI local, student welfare, freedom, and bullying.
Mr. Saldana, what, you kind of alluded to it briefly, but what's going to be the protocol for who vets the instances where calls are made, whether it's a superfluous call versus a very serious charge?
There will be a disclaimer before they click on the application itself, or if it's online, a disclaimer saying that if there is a false a report, there could be possible prosecution toward whoever does that. But it is there at the very end before you click.
Okay.
So at the end, any input that's coming in and it's taken into account, it'll be reviewed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
What?
It'll be, anything that comes in, goes through and it's confirmed, it'll be reviewed.
Reviewed, okay.
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, sir, Mr. Don, you mentioned something right now. You alluded to compliance, that if we get this software here, we'll be in compliance?
Yes, sir.
So my question is, are we in compliance now? Well,
We
what are we doing?
do have some anti-bullying campaigns in effect. We just wanted to take it to the next level through Mr. Madrigal. He wanted to have something that was 24 hours where our students could call from home, or the parents could call from home through discussions there in the living room while they're having dinner, and they could immediately have some kind of way to relay that concern to us. And of course, having the 24-hour call center is the help that we need.
And a follow.
Thank you, sir.
A
Yes,
follow-up
sir.
question to my first question. I know Mr. Gonzalez is in the audience, but how are we going to educate our parents
It actually comes
successfully?
with a rollout plan, once we purchase it. Once we get it, there'll be phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and it details everything specifically, how we would roll it out. And it would also be, I think, provided in Spanish on a letter that goes home to each family.
So are they directly, I'm talking about like our parent specialists, are they directly involved with where these complaints are coming through via campuses, or
No,
is that just left?
it'll go straight to the campus,
Okay.
campus administration, and then we would get a report up here, I'll be able to print it out myself. And I'll be able to see if they're being tended to at every.
Because I'm just trying to envision, we're implementing a system that's parent, 100% parent,
Well,
respondents.
it's also parent and.
And student.
And student, yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we keep Mr. Gonzalez in the loop and make sure parents are,
Yes, sir. It'll all be part of the rollout
Okay.
plan once we get to that
awesome,
phase.
thank you.
Thank you.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is the bullying here in San Benito? Well, let's say high school. Or
I really don't know that right offhand, so I don't want to throw out any type of figure out there.
how many reports have we gotten from parents?
We would have to probably go to every campus right now and see what
Oh,
they
I
have
see. Okay,
as far as documented at their particular campus.
okay, thank
By
you.
having this program, Ms. Silva, we'd have one spot where we can get all his reports.
Okay.
We know that, I know Mr. Saldana said there'll be 2 people assigned. The first one is the campus principal. The campus principal can delegate or send this concern to one of their assistant principals. All right. The second person, just so there is some consistency, the second person for all the campuses is Mr. Saldana. So that if, it's not gonna be lost in the shuffle. He's gonna get all the emails regardless, and he's gonna check back if nothing's done with the campus principal. I think that's the way we have it set up.
Yes, sir.
So there are some checks and balances so that people aren't afraid to report this. And like, Mr. Saldana and Mr. Edisuris and myself, we were talking, we'd rather have, not that we're promoting it, but too much reporting and prevent something, not have any reporting and something bad happen. So we'd rather err on the side of safety.
Thank you, Mr. Saldana.
Thank you.
Agenda item. Number 7. Review, discussion of memorandum of understanding between San Benito CISD and Texas State Technical College, the Migrant Academic Achievement Residential Summer Program, MARS.
Good evening. I'm here this evening just to review briefly and quickly our MOU with TSTC for the MARS program for our migrant students. The program will focus on 4 critical elements that are necessary for college readiness, including critical thinking, time management, access to college resources, and social development. What TSTC will be doing for our students is they will provide a 6-week residential summer instructional program where they can earn 2 college credits. The courses that are available are Algebra 1, Art, English 3, English 4, Math Models, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, and half course credits of Economics and Government. Also, they will be providing career exploration opportunities through their technical programs, college readiness and leadership seminars, tours of other universities, and community service opportunities. Now, this is done on the weekend. So it is throughout the week that the students will be there. On the weekend, they can choose to go home, or they can stay for the weekend activities, which include the tours of other colleges and universities and community service. There are 2 weekends that they do need to stay, and on those weekends, they will assist with the Ronald McDonald House, and they will have a seminar with Workforce Solutions. Also, of course, they're going to be provided room and board. They get $100 biweekly, so $50 a week. And if they complete the program, they will receive a $900 scholarship at the end of the term.
That's good.
So the cost for the program is $5,000 per student, so we're looking at $75,000. We typically have 15 students that attend every summer. We open it up to all students that are sophomores, seniors, juniors, and this year we're opening it up to some of our freshmen as well. So if the number exceeds 15, we will also, open it up to the other students as well. There is an application process, and that's where you can find on the application. I forwarded the application to Mr. Madrigal. I don't know if it's included in the packet. But there's an,
There's an
Yes, it's a frame.
application.
okay. And on the application is where you can find what students will need, like 3 letters of reference. They also need to submit their transcripts, and they will evaluate their transcripts to see if they qualify for the program, and then also see what 2 college credits they can garner during the summer.
Awesome. Ms. Rendon, sorry, Ms. Cerveon, just out of curiosity, the $900, is that going to be remitted to the actual student or to an educational institution post
To the student.
directly? Okay.
Ms. Arion, is there a cap?
No.
No, so,
If we get more interest, it's that we also have the Muse program, so I will be bringing the Muse program forward too. The Muse program is at UTRGV Edinburgh, but it seems that our students, I guess because of the location, just are more apt to go to TSTC or apply for the TSTC program. But there's not a cap, so if there is more interest, since we now are opening it up all the way down to freshman year, we will include those students as well.
so I guess my question is, how do you market this? If there's gonna be so many different programs, how do you market these, like at the high school level or at VMA? How does that roll-up plan work?
Well, what happens is that this program differs from what's offered at Muse. And also, we will be having our close-up trip. The close-up trip is to Washington DC. Last year, we only had 2 students attend the close-up tour. We are aiming for 10 students this year. This year, we're not only going to go to Washington DC, we're going to go ahead and also expand it to New York. So last year, our students did not have the opportunity to go to New York, but this year they will. And at New York, what they do, it is educational, but they will also go to Broadway and attend a play.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cerveon.
Yes, ma'am.
Committee concerns? Agenda item number 8.
Yes, ma'am. I know that we'd spoken earlier, and we have 2 presentations. I know that last year and we've done some things differently here to help increase our student enrollment, and we're going to continue to do this in the future with y'all's approval, of course. We had some elementary campuses come to us. We had the Garza STEAM Academy this past year, and next year we want to expand our choices. And we had the elementary principals apply and interview with us to bring us some more choices for next year. We have Ms. Lopez from Downs Elementary. She's going to do her presentation over Fine Arts Academy. And after Ms. Lopez's presentation, we'll have Ms. Atkinson from Sullivan Elementary presenting on an environmental science elementary option.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, fellow board members. We're here to present on a short presentation on our School of Fine Arts that we want to go ahead and implement at our campus. And present here with me today are myself, principal of Ed Downs Elementary, Julie Aguilera, she is our assistant principal, and Ms. Whitmore, which leads our great Fine Arts Academy Fine Arts program so far. I just want to give you a little bit of background information, and it's going to be brief. Last year, when I was an administrator for the first year there at Ed Downs Elementary, I immediately noticed the uniqueness in the teachers at the campus. And I specifically noticed Ms. Whitmore and how she is an asset to our campus in the productions that she makes on campus already, the ability for her to perform, or to play and instruct all these different instruments at the campus. And I immediately saw that that she needed more room, actually. So one of the things that I went ahead and did was I made some movements around the campus, and I put her in what used to be the old Ed Downs cafeteria. So she moved from the small fine arts building that she had, and we put her in the old Ed Downs cafeteria. And that became what we're already calling our Fine Arts Academy. So with that in mind, this year we were given the opportunity by Dr. Carmen to go ahead, and this was an option that was given to all principals at the elementary level, if anybody was interested in applying for a School of Fine Arts, or for any school of choice, excuse me. So of course, my choice was clear. I knew that I was driven towards that already. I had already set up some of it. And so I did apply, and we were selected, but we're still here to get our final approval from you all. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our PowerPoint, which you have in front of you. You have some quotes as well. You have different information that was passed out to you. But we have our fine arts, of course, our mission for the academy, which states Ed Downs seeks to be an exemplary learning establishment that prides itself in contributing to the foundation of our community through encouraging, empowering, and engaging students to reach their highest potential in the area of fine arts, while challenging our students to be lifelong learners with the tools necessary for success in a changing world. And so with that in mind, we have a specific vision for the program, and it's to have a diverse and inclusive school community committed to academic excellence and integrity, while providing that personalized instruction and nurturing the artistic and expressive student. So as we continue, we have our core values, and within them we have 4. Our core values will be to inspire a passion for creativity, to empower self-expression through the arts, to foster a place where students are imaginative, and to cultivate the whole child. I am now going to turn it over to Ms. Whitmore, which will go ahead and speak on the emphasis that we will be taking next year.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. First of all, we're going to have emphasis on music, which includes band, orchestra, keyboard, and choir. Dance, art, theater, and video production. Do I press for the next picture? Our current fine arts environment. Our School of Arts already emphasizes music. I have the privilege of teaching the youngest violin and cello musicians in the Rio Grande Valley, according to San Antonio Strad out of San Antonio. We have 30 participants in orchestra, ranging from kindergarten through 5th. Our orchestra program started February 2018, and we have already performed with the high school orchestra twice.
Wow.
You can see how cute they are. Our dance and theater productions depend on the season of the year, community events, and school programs, also collaborating with the academic teachers' lesson plans that are passed on to me for reinforcement. One example, I have to brag on them, is our 4th grade class with their Texas history. Our 4th graders work alongside with the Texas Heritage Independence Celebration Committee by performing a musical play, which is the story and history about the Battle of the Alamo. Ed Downs has performed outstandingly, to the point where they have performed this production at the Alamo in San Antonio. It was a great field trip. So hundreds of people were there from all over the world, and they had a blast.
Wow.
The Teaks doesn't get any better than that. Current Fine Arts Academy includes and consists of piano lab, to accommodate 22 students. You can see that over there on the right-hand slide. Our pianos are provided by the after-school program, and on the left-hand side is our orchestra hall. We have about 30 participants in that right now, and we plan on getting bigger. Those instruments are also provided by the after-school program. Our school is right now considering purchasing even more with their budget. Next is our art academy. We have 4 art galleries in this building: a composer's gallery, a science gallery, a life cycle gallery, and a student art exhibition gallery. The art room is divided into 3 different sections to accommodate pre-kinder, kinder, and 1st grade, a second section for 2nd and 3rd, and a section for 4th and 5th graders. We have 5 laboratories and technology equipment located in this area. We also have a band hall, and the picture on the left-hand side is the entrance to our band hall. And With that class, it includes French horn ensembles, percussion lines with every kind of drum you can possibly think of, plus hand instruments. I also teach Orff instruments, which include xylophones, metallophones, glockenspiels, cymbals, and recorders. We also have a flag corps. The picture on the left, that's our choir hall, and we decorate it with every season. We can also do stage productions in front of that. We get into the mood of everything. Our choir program happens at every grade level. We start out with solfege, hand signs. We go to warm-ups, music theory, which is really important, and sight reading. We consistently do this before transitioning to our objectives for the day.
So with all of this in place, one of the things that we want to do is definitely attract more students to our campus. And we're looking at all the neighboring districts that we can go ahead and service. So some of the neighboring districts that we want to look at is, of course, Rio Hondo, which is right off our campus, and also some of the Los Fresnos area. But in order for us to do that is we need to make sure that our campus is unique in that it provides something different than what the ordinary Lower Rio Grande Valley fine arts academies do to our neighboring districts. So what they do is they utilize the after-school program quite a bit to go ahead and implement their fine arts. And what we want to do is we want to do something different. We want to go ahead and have the fine arts component within the regular rotations of their everyday fine arts, PE, and so forth. So with that in mind, we are also looking into going ahead and adding a future addition to the Fine Art Academy, which we have this building available that you see on the right-hand side. Right now, it is currently being used by the after-school program robotics team, but it's not being utilized to its full potential during the day. And so you see the inside. Off to the side, you have a private restroom as well that was already installed in there last year when this used to be her Fine Arts Academy room or her Fine Arts room. And this is what we're envisioning, is we're envisioning an actual dance studio for our students where they can go ahead and practice ballet, where they can practice tap, where they can go ahead and the older girls can do, and boys as well, do modern dance and jazz and so forth. So this is a future addition that we would like to make because we already have the other components within the fine arts building already. So along with the areas of emphasis, of course, we're going to emphasize the music. We're going to emphasize the dance. Within the music, we have band, we have orchestra, like Ms. Whitmore mentioned, and we also have piano and keyboarding. So what we want to do is with the drama, we want to move from the conventional, regular Charlie Brown plays that a lot of the campuses do, and we want to incorporate some more of the classics like Romeo and Juliet. We want to go ahead and incorporate some musicals like West Side Story, where the students, the verbiage that's going to be utilized will be at their level of comprehension, but we're still keeping the themes that go along with those specific plays and so forth that we'd be producing as well. So this is the instructional plan that we have so far in place. And what we have is currently we already have Ms. Whitmore going in from 7 to 7:30 and offering private French horn lessons to several of our students. I believe we have about 5 students that go on a daily basis from 7 to 7:30. They get there, get their breakfast, go to her building, to the Fine Arts building, and they practice French horn. So that's already in place, but of course we want to add more than what we already have. We want to add the flutes, we want to add the clarinets like she went ahead and mentioned. But we also want to do an emphasis on the arts from 7:30 to 8, in addition to the reinforcement that will be done throughout the reading and social studies component of it. And what we're trying to look at is a 6-week emphasis on each art, where the students because they get dismissed into the classroom at our campus from the cafeteria at 7:30. So when they go from the cafeteria to the classroom, they basically work on, they're on Go Noodle, and the teachers are all welcoming the students in. But we already have a one-to-one initiative. We already are one-to-one on campus, so the students can easily go ahead and start looking at the different areas of the 6 emphases that we're going to incorporate. So what I mean by that is, let me go ahead and explain that a little bit more for you. So that would be like, for example, the first 6 weeks. Let's say the emphasis would be band, okay? And so we'd be looking at specific, musicians like maybe John Lennon classics, but then modern days where the modern day ones as well, where the students would be able to use the Chromebooks to go ahead and, incorporate the career exploration, but also do biographies on those actual people. And so we're cultivating the whole child in that component. The second 6 weeks would, let's say we were going to be doing orchestra. And so like they would be going ahead and looking at famous composers. Okay, the third 6 weeks would be choir. So they would be looking at specific singers. And this would just be done somewhat of an enrichment from 7:30 to 8 before the actual traditional day even gets started. So it's enrichment because the rest of the academic schedule will remain consistent with the rest of the elementaries at 8 o'clock. We'd start everything else that, the rest of the components. So the academic schedule remains consistent. However, we were trying to see how we could go ahead and have honor students being pulled out throughout the day. So we thought about utilizing that time for Ms. Whitmore to pick specific students that would be our honor students, or like the honor choir, the honor band, that they would be pulled out during the intervention period for more emphasis on their area of expertise. So I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Aguilera.
Good evening. On the financial impact, we already have that building that's being utilized by the after-school program for robotics. So that would be the building that we would be using as the dance studio. If you look in the folder that I handed out to you all, you have 3 quotes there. One is from Lone Star Glass and Mirror. That will be installed in the future dance studio. You have a quote for the rubber floor, and you also have a quote for the oak floor with cost for installation. So that is all we would need to get this dance studio going, because the building will not be required as it is readily available. Also, we did get together with the site-based decision meeting, and all of us agreed that we could utilize this building for the campus, for this dance studio, because everybody thinks that it will be beneficial for our students. We also have the music building that Ms. Whitmore works in. That one is already currently in use. The art gallery is currently in use as well. What we want to implement is a video production room available on campus as KGBT, but an alternative route that we could go is we thought that maybe we could bus our students over to the VMA for KSBG, where they can learn about the video production class there, because all the equipment is there and it's available. This would only be for the 5th graders, though, because they're the ones that are older and would be able to properly care for the equipment. But as far as being newscasters or news reporting, we would be able to use students from 1st to 5th grade for that. For the staffing impact, what we would need would be 2 additional full-time employees in the fine arts to help Ms. Whitmore. 1 teacher would be utilized for art and drama. Another teacher would be utilized for dance and video production. We did already get a hold of Palm Valley, the owner, which is Mrs. Mary Oxford, and she says that she has a staff member that is a certified dance teacher with a bachelor's degree that will charge us $30 an hour for contract work. I know that Mrs. Lopez also spoke to a lady called Mrs. Elizabeth Carrillo, who owned a dance studio in Elsa, Texas, and she is willing to be part of our dance program as well. Ms. Whitmore will be utilized for the music, such as band, orchestra, and choir. Okay, and the additional part-time employees for after-school program, we could also incorporate get a dance teacher, video teacher, choir teacher, art teacher, and drama teacher. And that can be used with the after-school program. As for the entrance requirements, students will be required to apply for the Ed Downs Fine Arts Academy. Requirements will be discussed and decided on by school central office administration. Transportation will be provided for students in our district. Choice of emphasis will be assigned for students in grades pre-K through second. Students in third through fifth will be provided with choice. After-school program will be an extension of what is emphasized throughout the day, open enrollment to neighboring districts. Current students would be grandfathered, and students from out of district will have attendance and grade requirements.
Ms. Aguilera,
Yes.
on the, because I was looking at the 2 additional FTEs and all that. So from a board perspective, we want to make sure we're not out of compliance with the staffing model for each campus. And so I was talking to Dr. Carmen in terms of, well, that would squash our concerns, obviously, if we recruited more students. So, and I know a lot is going to happen if the board approves in terms of town halls and whatnot and trying to prepare this appropriately, but how many students do you anticipate, or is there a goal yet that has been decided by your site-based decision committee on campus or whatever, in terms of how many students that is feasible to make this successful maybe for the first year?
We went, actually, Mr. Vargas, we went ahead and it continues further. I was going to discuss it later on in the PowerPoint, but since you're bringing up the question, we did go visit School of Fine Arts in Austin, and Ms. Libby was our point of contact for that with Dr. Paul Cruz. And that was Blackshear Elementary, or Fine Arts Academy. And they were instrumental in giving us more ideas of how we're actually going to implement it. And one of the things that he told us was that within the first year of the implementation of the Fine Arts School, they immediately grew by like 60 students. Okay, and so they've seen growth throughout every year to where now they have a waiting list, and this is their, I believe, their second or third year that they became a Fine Arts Academy, and they have a waiting list for the students to go in. Currently, I believe they are at 450 some students, but they were at 280 some at one point.
Awesome.
So we are anticipating the students, of course, the FTEs would be contingent on the amount of students that we bring in. If we don't have students coming in, then that wouldn't be a possibility.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, clubs provided with emphasis on the arts would be the art studio, ballet, drama, drill team, modern dance, music, which would consist of piano, violin, the cello, French horn, flute, drums, guitar, and video production. These clubs are in addition to what is already provided through the after-school program like chess, rock band, and robotics. So the possible community partnerships that we would be working with would be Palm Valley School of Dance, McAllen Performing Arts Center, UTRGV. We thought we could contact somebody, those student teachers that are majoring in dance to come and help. San Benito Boys and Girls Club, we could do opening and closing ceremonies. The City of San Benito Parks and Recreation, we could do special performances such as dance and band. City of San Benito Chamber of Commerce, we already do the parades with them. We could go and perform for new businesses. The students can go and do performances that they request. Texas Heritage Independent Celebration Association, I know that we have our 4th graders going out there and doing a reenactment for the livestock showgrounds. And we are also partner up with San Benito Police Department by doing National Night Out. Thank you.
So a lot of these community partnerships are already in place. There's something that we've already been doing as a campus, so that would just be strengthened, but there are some that are new. So we are looking at our timeline, and this is just something that we came up with. The program, we already have a lot of the components of the program in place in reality. The program is currently in process. With new additions available by 2019. The only thing would be the renovation of the fine arts program, dance studio. Renovations can begin as soon as possible. The dance studio is utilized by after-school program only. It's not being used during the day. The marketing process would begin in February, application process in April, and additional staffing interviews beginning anytime from February through May.
And it goes fast.
So next we have our rationale, and of course it's to initiate new ways of perceiving and thinking for our students. It will build the foundation for success at all secondary levels where fine arts programs are readily available. And it will provide families in the community that ability for the child for them to choose, or the option to choose a school that has the emphasis of music, art, theater, dance, and video production. In front of you, you also have a handout from Edutopia that goes ahead and talks about the how students in fine arts programs benefit, and it gives you 5 specific benefits that you can read at your leisure, and that is the growth mindset, self-confidence, improved cognition, communication, and deepening cultural and self-understanding. So special thanks to Dr. Carmen and Assistant Superintendent Mr. Madrigal for giving us the opportunity to go and visit Blackshear Elementary. For Ms. Libby Flores, our elementary director, for being that point of contact and that liaison between Dr. Paul Cruz and ourselves, and being able to go and visit this campus with such short notice. But the visit was really instrumental in how in the fact that he provided me with the schedules that he's utilizing at his campus, and how he does the actual rotation so that the students are able to go ahead and rotate into the different components of the fine arts program, which I can go into more detail with you later on as well. And of course, KSBG Interim Director Isabel Gonzalez for providing us with a short video and helping us out with a video that we're going to be presenting to you in a little while. So,
Ms. Lopez, have you sought input at all from Ms., oh, that was the video?
yeah, sorry.
Never mind. I spoiled your thunder.
It's okay. Do you want, I can answer in a little while. I'll just, let me play it. At Ed Downs Elementary, we will become a diverse and inclusive school community committed to academic excellence and integrity while providing personalized instruction and nurturing the artistic and expressive student through emphasis in music, art, dance, and video production. Ed Downs Elementary will become
a place where students are imaginative, a place where students are expressive, a place where students are creative.
And that is our little promotional video.
Where's Lily?
So, going back to your question.
Yeah, now I feel bad for interrupting that. We can do that all over again. My only question was if you've sought any input from Mr. Mendoza, the band director, or Mr. Martinez, the choir director, and
That's what I wanted to emphasize. What we're looking at is the Blackshear Elementary used a lot of community partnerships, but we're looking to use our own staff from our district. I know Ms. Whitmore goes into the high school and she goes ahead and teaches a course, which I work into her schedule so that I can make sure it doesn't interfere with her deliverance of instruction at the high school. So what we're doing is we're thinking, and not thinking, but I've already spoken to the individuals that will be able to come into the campus and provide that additional instruction. So if we're not able to get the additional staff, if we're able to go ahead and get another band instructor during, let's say, 9 to 10 for that additional rotation, then that's when we can go ahead and set it. That was the whole thing with the video production as well. It's not just about newscasting, it's about having the students actually manipulate the equipment. So at first I thought, we can have the students from KSBG come over to our campus. In fact, I think that's what I presented to Dr. Carmen when I first did the presentation. But what we're looking at that would be more feasible would have, instead of even going through the whole expense of purchasing equipment, even though we have a room available for it, having our students bused to KSBG at the time that the students are there so that they can start interacting with that equipment. Because it's not just about, like I said, the newscasting. The newscasting, we can go ahead and have all students work with it, but it's with the actual production of videos that we want our students to go ahead and work at.
Thank you.
Ms. Lopez or Dr. Carmen, regarding the designation, is that a TEA process as well? That we have to go through a TEA designation for Music and Arts Academy, or is that an internal process?
It's an internal process only. It would simply require board approval. And I do want to point out, first of all, thank you, ladies, for all the research and the work you put into bringing this together. But I do want to touch on a couple of points that I didn't see on that timeline. Before we start any type of marketing, we would hold a town hall at the elementaries, should the board decide to designate Ed Downs as a fine arts school or fine arts academy. And then as far as the numbers, if the board designates Ed Downs as a fine arts academy, it does not necessarily approve those 2 FTEs. That's contingent upon the increase in enrollment. But I do want to point out that without adding any core teachers, we have space in existing classrooms for about 21 kindergartners, a dozen first graders. We have room for 17 second graders, 15 third graders, 7 fourth graders, and about 10 fifth graders, and still maintain the 22-to-1 ratio, K4, and 25-to-1 ratio in fifth grade. So we have room in those classrooms, and so that added ADA would by far more than offset whether we added in a couple of teachers. And based on the numbers, we would make a decision. These would be hourly employees for the dance instructor.
The dance instructor, when contacting Palm Valley, which is, does basically all of the fine arts performing in Harlingen and San Benito, and a lot of our community members actually, their child goes to Palm Valley. She said that we would be able to hire her dance instructor throughout the day, and I really wanted to jump on this, if I have to say, because she was interested in the fact that we were actually utilizing a dance instructor during the day, because what the Fine Arts Academy in Harlingen does is they utilize them in the after school. So if it was going to be after school that I was going to utilize her answer was going to be no. And she's like, what are you going to do during the day? And I kind of mentioned it to her, and I was somewhat hesitant because I don't want that dance instructor, that certified dance instructor, to go with our neighboring district. And she did say it would be a $30 an hour dance instructor that we would get, which is a certified teacher, which is not, it's not common to have certified dance instructors in the lower Rio Grande Valley or in the valley at all in general. Blackshear Elementary did a lot of their partnerships, community partnerships, through the ballet company that they have in Austin. Well, Palm Valley is the next best thing to the ballet company that they have in Austin here in the Harlingen and San Benito area.
Right, since we would be
So
contracting.
we would be looking at contracting an actual certified teacher
Right.
for the daytime, and then looking at part-timers for the afternoon, so that the child can go ahead and have an emphasis. But I do want, one of the things that I do want is for all students to have that rotation where they're able to see or to be part of all the different areas, and then choose their emphasis as they continue on, and choose the emphasis that will be continued for the after-school program.
Right, but since we'd be contracting potentially with an outside source on an hourly basis, if our numbers did not increase as much as we think, we may start year 1 with 4 hours or 6 hours before we go to 8 hours or so in year 2. So it may not necessarily even be an FTE. It will all be driven upon our increase in ADA. And this plan, with the space we have available, would more than pay for itself if we were to add in those instructors.
Can I add something to it? In behalf of the Texas Heritage Celebration, also called Happy Birthday Texas, Ed Downs had contributed a lot, fourth graders, to our organization. It's been in existence for about 12 years, and they represent the school district very, very good. I commend you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item, Selvin Elementary, Environmental Science Academy. Come on down. Yum, yum. Poison ivy. Thank you.
Okay, well, good evening, Dr. Carmen. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Deanna Atkinson, current principal at Sullivan Elementary. I have with myself Dr. Claiborne, who is assistant principal at Sullivan Elementary, and Ms. Flor Cuevas, who is our third grade / 4-H teacher. So we are here today also to propose a school of choice. We have got a little bit of a history with something that's really great that Ms. Cuevas will talk to you all about in just a little bit. We are going to start our presentation with a very short video, and we're also going to end it with a very short video. So I'm going to let it play.
Welcome to Sullivan 4-H Garden, where the classroom comes to life. Our school garden provides an engaging environment where students take lessons from math, science, and writing and apply them into real-world situations. In our garden, learning becomes an educational event where students learn through experiences that engage the intellect and the senses. This year, our focus is on sustainability. We plan to make our ever-growing garden fully self-sufficient by composting excess garden material and cafeteria waste, establishing a rainwater collection site, collecting seeds, and generating income through farmers markets that service our school and the local community. We began as a simple third grade after-school garden club that has blossomed into a full-fledged 4-H school. This is only the beginning. Let's keep growing.
Just like it says, let's keep growing. So our intention is to keep moving forward, and as times change, things change, it's crucial that we keep up with all the change that is taking place around us. So with that said, I'm going to share with you our vision, our mission, and some core values. So our mission statement is that we will promote environmental stewardship in a cooperative learning community so that each student develops the skills and knowledge to be a responsible, environmentally conscious, productive citizen. So what we are expecting is we are expecting our students to just become more aware of their environment. Okay, our vision statement is to foster an interest in environmental issues and explore all aspects of the Earth's physical and biological environments. So for now, we have a couple of core values. Once if everything goes well, if things get approved, we'll have site-based decision meetings with our core team, and we will most likely work on our vision and mission statement as well as our core values. But a couple of the core values that we do have now is just the responsible use and protection of the natural environment, and a means to a more sustainable future and environmental stewardship. So what exactly is environmental science? So it is defined as a branch of biology that's focused on the study of the relationships of the natural world and the relationships between organisms and their environment, and that's the official dictionary definition. So we do currently have partnerships with the following entities. We have already confirmed them. They know our ideas, and a lot of where we're going is based off of where we currently are at based on the video with our 4-H. And so we do have a community partnership with 4-H. We also have it with Growing You. We have the community partnership, or that one we are working on with FFA, so we're wanting to promote maybe a junior FFA component. We do have a partnership with Tractor Supply, also with the Department of Agriculture. Texas A&M Grand Prairie and Texas A&M AgriLife Extension are both very, very big partners in our endeavors moving forward. We're also in collaboration with the Texas Gladys Porter Zoo. TSTC is very foundational for us as well. Turtle Inc. at the island, just different organizations that we can expose our students to environmentally conscious ideas. And so we've got the Birding Center at the island as well. We are partners with Walk Across Texas, and that's part of our health and wellness program. And we also are just, one of our new connections is with the Texas Wildlife Association, along with the East Foundation, which is basically a floating classroom. And also with the South Texas Ecotourism Center. And the last two are contacts that we just recently made. So we do have some clubs and organizations that we currently have and that we're going to work on strengthening through this environmental science program. And one of those is the K2 Clover Club, which is like an early start for our 4-H, for our third through fifth grade 4-H club. We do have our junior master gardeners. We have our junior FFA. We do have a robotics club. We will hopefully roll forward with an ecology club and a recycling club. And Ms. Cuevas is going to talk to you about all of those in just a bit. So we also have emphasized skills, and some of our skills are, we do have a program that is from egg to chick that is going to be implemented. We already have, I believe, 2 or 3 incubators that we do have on campus, so the kids are able to watch the entire process. We're going to work on the importance of the following. We'll be keen to our program. So we've got the gardening, we've got the planting, we're working on harvesting, we've got the irrigation, composting, mulching, agriculture, and then we've got the hatchery. So I'm going to turn the next part over to Ms. Cuevas.
Hi, good evening. Some of the special features that you will see, we will have rainwater harvesting, butterfly garden, hydroponics, chicken learning center, a greenhouse, which we currently have, a robo farmer, which we will be getting next year, and we will be the first elementary school in the Rio Grande Valley with a farm bot. The kids will be able to go and program it on a computer or iPad, and he will be able to plant, will plant the garden on the other side, while the other part of the garden, the children will plant themselves with transplants. So we will have a hatchery. Right now we have 3 incubators, and we are currently waiting the arrival of our fertilized eggs. So the children will be able to see the incubator there, and it will manually turn the eggs for them. So the kids will be able to see it, and the hatch of the eggs as well. The initiation of a farmer's market concept where fruits and veggies from our garden can be sold. This will be student-based. We will be with them, but they will go and harvest, and they will go and sell at their farmer's market as well, so they can see, the fruits of their labor and how it comes out. We have a composting stations. We have one right now where the students will go and put in their leftover fruits so they can compost, and we will have a recycling center. So,
Awesome.
if you see, we have a rainwater harvesting, which we're hoping to have next year, as well as.
So just a little bit more on the rainwater harvesting, and so what we're looking at is we're looking at being able to recycle rainwater, and so we're looking at possibly purchasing, actually not even purchasing, because we've talked to Angela Leal, they've got one that they're not using, so we can even transport it over, so that would save us a little bit of money. But kind of harvesting the water, and then having the students use that same water to water our gardens and to use it wherever we can throughout the campus.
Wow.
So that's our whole idea with the water
Wow.
harvesting.
Wonderful.
And a butterfly habitat. Mhm.
Yes.
And I
Okay,
turn
then we're
over
gonna
to.
hand it over to Dr. Claiborne.
Hi.
Aren't those butterflies supposed to be attracted by certain type of flowers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you, okay.
The seeds for the flowers already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before I begin, let me just thank you for everything you've done for us and for our students. It's a very exciting time to work for SBCISD, and now I'm going to step out of my AP role into my grandmother role. I have my grandson making a 35-minute commute every day to come to our school because great things are happening at Sullivan Elementary. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you for all you've
Can
done.
we do a promotional video with that?
Absolutely, yes. And he doesn't miss the sleep. He loves it so much. She's his teacher. Understanding that environmental science is a unified course of study, we have developed a challenging yet developmentally appropriate instructional pathway for our K through 5 students. This will allow them to experience the dynamic interplay between those processes. So we know that the little bitty people in kinder love rocks. So we're starting with petrology in kinder, and that goes into the rock classification, plate tectonics, which we know is tested. They love animals at that age, so the study of animals and relationships between humans and animals will begin there. First grade will go into evolution, they will be responsible for the hatchery. And one thing about the hatchery is, as cute as it is, they have to monitor these eggs daily through a special light. So the minute they see that it's not developing at the rate it should, they have to go in there and take that egg out. So they're learning about life cycle and just so many other things. Adaptations, insect management, plant interaction, and life cycles. Second grade, they'll get into the planetary science. Third grade will move into oceanography and marine science. All of these things, there's a plan behind this, that by the time they get to fifth grade, they'll have such a strong foundation in all the tested areas that it's just going to be very easy for them to understand the science, the new streamlined curriculum, because it's all building up to that. In fourth grade, we are addressing forestry and agriculture because that is our 4-H grade. So that's when the plant breeding and the water harvesting comes in. Exploring whether pesticides are better or do we need to do something organic, nutrition, all that kind of, it's all right there in fourth grade because we want to stay very close to what 4-H dictates that we teach. And then in fifth grade, going to ecosystems, food chain, and food webs. Again, you'll see the correlation between what we want to do with fifth grade and the streamlined science teaks that are tested, the food pyramid, energy, recycling, conservation, pollution, and so forth.
And all of this, the curriculum from kinder all through fifth grade, we sat and we looked at all of the teaks and how and where we could align what components of environmental science to our state standards. So it's been aligned. We've done some of the research. We've put it together. And so our goal is that our students are going to go from kinder through fifth grade with all of this solid background in environmental science, so that by the time they're out of elementary, they have a solid, a grasp of what it is that they prefer, what it is that they want, and they'll have just a really solid foundation in the sciences.
And one of the requirements as a fifth grader will be they will have to complete a capstone project. So they will take all the knowledge that they've gained throughout their course of study and have to produce or create a project that examines and shows us how they could reduce this environmental impact. So they'll be very aware of their carbon footprint. I mean, they will know when they leave, they're going to present this amazing project, and we'll know we're sending students off to just really be successful in these courses of study.
And so financial implications, so there is some professional development that we would like our teachers to have. There's an introduction to sustainability course, and their topics of study include ecosystems, climate change, water and agriculture, energy, environmental policy, and population, which is right up our alley. It's everything that we're wanting to kind of focus on. And so that is $50 per participant. One thing that we have failed to mention, is through 4-H, we do have a 5-year grant. And so we are year one. So for the next 4 years, we will be receiving partial funds through 4-H for whatever it is that we need on campus to work on. The ultimate goal is, like we mentioned earlier, sustainability. And so what we want is to make certain that we have these next 4 years to put systems into place so that by the end of that, it's a self-sustaining program. And so the goal is just to make certain that we have all of these things in place. So yes, there are some financial implications, but a lot of them will be supported through 4-H. Additional staffing, and this is solely based on projections. So I've listed our current enrollment plus our projected enrollment with any additional FTEs. And I'm an employee of the district. My goal is always to increase enrollment. It would be great if we get kids from, of course, within district, but our goal is to attract those kids from out of the district. And so we want the kids from Harlingen, we want the kids from Brownsville, we want the kids from Los Fresnos and Rojondo and wherever else it may be. And so one thing that is very unique to us is that we will be one of the only environmental science academies really in Region 1, if not even south of Dallas. And so in doing research, what we have found, there are 2 academies in Grand Prairie, and there's 1 academy in the Dallas ISD area. And so, our goal is to use this as a big sales pitch, and it's going to go back to marketing, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But, we need to sell it. We need to be able to tell people, you know what, we have all of these great things to offer. A lot of things we do already have running in place because we are already a 4-H campus. So there's our projected enrollment. We're expecting, based on capacity, that this is where we can fall. It would give us an FTE, again, per grade level. but it's based on enrollment. So if we get the kiddos, we'll get the additional ADA funds, which will help substantiate those additional FTEs. The ones that, even if our enrollment does not change, we would like one environmental science teacher that will be required to conduct all of the environmental science lessons. And again, depending on enrollment, but if our enrollment does max 5 or hit at least 550, because right now that's our goal, 550, that would get us an assistant principal or a dean of instruction that one of their primary focuses could be to ensure that environmental science curriculum be rolled out as effectively and as best as possible, okay? And school renovation. So one of the biggest things I think that we need at Sullivan is curb appeal. And so in working with 4-H, they agree. And so we are going to be getting some, small steps and some small things that will kind of be helping us. They always say, what does your outside say about your inside? And so the inside of our school is amazing. So we really need the outside of our school to say the same thing. So we've got a few ideas on some projects for curb appeal. There is an existing structure that we do have that is basically like an old restroom / storage kind of weird little area that used to be an old section of classrooms that was chopped for a parking lot. And so there's maybe 2 classrooms left. And so our idea is that we gut a piece of that and turn that one existing station into what we're going to call our Sullivan Elementary Chicken Learning Station. And so what we'd like, or our Chicken Learning Center. And we would like basically for that to be a chicken coop. And so we have, thanks to Mr. David Garcia. See, and we were not going to go there. We were not going to go there. But yeah, coincidence? I think not. Anyhow, Mr. Garcia did speak to someone in the city who did say as long as our chickens were contained, we should be okay. So, our hope is that we can have a beautiful little chicken learning center out in the back. We do plan on adding a couple of outdoor classrooms close to that vicinity so that any teacher can take their students out. They can kind of have a lesson out there based on what they're observing and, going through the whole egg to chick program. There's a few little furniture updates that we could really benefit from. And so that could be something that we could talk about moving forward as well. Entry requirements. So basically, we're hoping that our current students can be grandfathered in because we know, the most unique thing about Sullivan is that it's very much a neighborhood school. I mean, you look out the door and, the neighborhood is right there. And so we would want to grandfather those students who are already enrolled. And so we would also like to encourage those students from within district to apply at our academy as well. Our recruitment criteria will be developed by, of course, central office staff as well as ourselves, so we can come up with some solid criteria as far as entry, definitely considering, their grade point averages and attendance are the big ones. But basically, we're not in the business of telling kids no. So we, regardless, we'll take a look and we'll definitely consider everyone who is interested in coming in from the outside.
Dr. Carmen, I need a van for Willacy County. I could fill it. I'm not joking.
I'm just saying, idea doesn't. So for marketing, all of that marketing and recruitment will be conducted in conjunction with KSBG, as well as through various media resources. And so one thing that I do know is, social media, the news, all of that is great. Radio is fantastic. So if approved, we need to get the word out. And I know I mentioned it earlier. It's all about the marketing. So we really have to do our due diligence in selling it and making certain that this is going to become the place where you want your child to be. And then...
Good evening. My name is Nathan Salinas. I'm coming to you live from Sullivan Environmental Science Academy. Working jointly with entities such as Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, Texas A&M Grand Prairie, Gladys Porter Zoo, TSTC, and the South Padre Island Birding Center.
What sets us apart?
Gardening.
Aquaponics. The Chicken Learning Center, where we will see eggs hatch into chicks. Vermiculture composting.
Ew, worms.
Worms, cool.
With the support of our amazing staff and parents, everyday science happens here.
So,
Good
just an
job.
idea,
Good job.
like just an idea, not set in stone. But again, we just want it to be a place where really cool things happen. That was a video that was made by our kids, so it was kid-made, kid-friendly. Do you all have any questions, comments, concerns?
I've got a comment, and first of all, thank you, ladies, for the presentation, and this goes to show that San Benito is moving in the right direction. It's giving you all the creativity and the ability to bring forth your ideas and thoughts. You know, it's something that we were long overdue. So thank you all for your hard work, both Ed Downs and Sullivan School. Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you.
And we're gonna need a good security for those chickens, because they're gonna get lost.
So just so you, we'll keep them confined. We also, we're also going to work on a system to where our staff is responsible for maintaining and making sure Christmas, they're nice and warm and all of that good stuff. So,
Well, with the passing of the bond and all these buildings that we're getting along with Sullivan and Ed Downs, wow.
Yes.
San Benito is going to be on the map very
agree.
soon.
I agree.
We're hoping we get these kids from the other neighboring schools
Yes.
because
That's what we need to do.
they're going to enjoy this. I hope we're the
I
first
agree.
ones.
I agree, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A chicken.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and commend both principals and their staff. And I want to commend Dr. Carmen and their leaders for having this innovative vision of trying to lead our district into the positive direction. And it's very obvious, it's very obvious that our district is going to be the gold standard of education here in the near future. And this board, as long as our administration and our wonderful staff and our parents and our constituents as well, really understand that this is what we stand for in San Benito, and this is what we're going to do moving forward, is give our kids the best opportunity to succeed. Thank you all very much.
Well, agenda item? Agenda item. So that's it? Adjourn. Okay, no more questions. Thank you. We do adjourn at 8:08. Thank you so much.